Me telling you that you're a good mom isn't going to change that. Like, whatever you can give is enough, and you have to be comfortable and sit in that. Greatest thing I learned is
Welcome, friends. You are listening to the Mind Your Space podcast.
Today we are celebrating the adventure of being a mom and still being true to yourself. Today we have a stellar guest joining us. An entrepreneur by day, a Taylor Swift expert by night, and a dedicated mom all around the clock. We're going to dive into a celestial conversation about experiencing infertility, everything that comes with pregnancy and motherhood, and how to balance it all with our guest, Rosie Kong. Welcome, listeners. Thank you for tuning back in today. And Rosie, thank you for joining in on this conversation.
oh, thank you so much for having me, Queen.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Let me just say, your smile is everything. Like,
Thank you.
no, I really admire you because your energy, your smile, you just carry something positive all the time. Like, how do you do that?
Thank you. I feel like it's kind of always who I've been, and I don't know, it's easier to go through life a little more positive than negative.
Okay, yeah, I can totally agree. Yes. even through the hard times.
Yeah, it's not easy. I will say that. It's not easy to be positive. But I found there's a lot more joy during the hard times if you choose to find it.
So choosing, like, oh my goodness, that makes so much sense because listen, you are what you think. You know, you become what you think, literally. So if you continue to think positive and do positive despite what's going on, then the outcome hopefully should be positive, right?
Yes, yeah. I 100% believe like what you put out is what you're gonna get back.
Well, you always put out positive energy. So every Rosie, just introduce yourself for everyone who's listening.
Okay, hi, I'm Rosie Kong. I'm an entrepreneur, a mom, a wife, a woman who likes to speak her truth.
Speaking your truth. Oh my goodness. That is amazing. Yes, we tend to hold back a lot of the times because we feel judged, but it's really important to speak our truth.
It's true. I feel like there's more of us feeling the exact same things than not. And yeah, yeah. So we should all just talk about it.
I know, right? Yeah. I know, but you see, I think we don't know. Because there's not a lot of us speaking our truth. Not everybody want to speak out about it, you know?
No, it's true. I felt the same way about a lot of things where I'm like, I'm just not gonna say anything. But then someone else has said it and we've connected and I felt so seen and heard by what they've said.
Yeah, it's so cool because now I know, okay, because of our conversation, I can reach out to Rosie about entrepreneurship and certain questions because you are a mom, a wife, and you go through that. So I'm like, if I'm struggling with some, I could reach out to you about it because I know you literally on the same journey.
hmm And I think it makes like great connections, you know? Like we're seeing each other, and so having someone else speak out makes you feel seen and heard because you're not the only one feeling that way. And I feel like I've met a lot of other like mothers, and not just mothers, women, entrepreneurs, even you, Queen. I feel like we've said things that have really touched each other, and then it builds connections with us as women that connect us all together.
Exactly. Like with everything you said just now, with like you being a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, like everything in one. Like, if motherhood had a theme song, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that is a really good question. Probably. Oh, this is a hard one because I'm trying to think of like what would it be? Maybe Fight Song by that girl like Rachel What's Her Face. You know that it's like this is my fight song, take back my life song. Um,
This is my fight. Okay,
yes.
okay.
Um, I think that's the song for motherhood because sometimes it feels like we're really like trudging and fighting, to be a good mom or to battle postpartum depression or to battle stigmas or to battle mom guilt. But that we get to control who we are as mothers, and there's so much joy and euphoria in our motherhood, which I feel like that song really like crescendos into at the end because it's like it's a beautiful thing. Motherhood is hard and it's nitty and it's gritty, but it's beautiful and it's gentle and it's delicate. And I feel like that song encompasses both of those things and that it's not easy.
I I don't know the entire song, but I know the song you're talking about, and I'm gonna go and listen to it because I have to. But I totally agree. Like you said, motherhood, it's a beautiful thing, but there is a lot of things that come with it, and I think it's
Mhm.
good to just embrace it. Like, okay, this is motherhood. Like,
Mhm.
there's nothing more to it. Like this, we have to go through it. There's nothing. There's no other way around
Mhm.
it. It's just
Yeah.
through it, right?
No.
And so we have to go through it. And
Yeah.
a lot of people don't understand how deep it is. When it's not just when people say, "Oh, motherhood," we tend to
Mhm.
look over it, and when we really like dial down, like you talk
Mhm.
about, you said postpartum. Well, one pregnancy, postpartum,
Mhm.
and not just the regular postpartum. People experience postpartum depression, anxiety, like all these things. So, tell me, how was your journey
Mhm.
becoming a mom?
My pregnancy was a surprise, a really good surprise. I had fertility issues for like 2 years. We had done fertility treatments, and it caused me to like gain weight, lose hair, grow a lot of hair. It like caused a lot of issues with my body, which was really scary. And then my doctor was like, "Let's take a break. We've been doing this for a long time." And then I was pregnant, just like naturally after all those treatments. Um, and that was really hard to try and become a mom. And then suddenly I was a mom, and my pregnancy was really beautiful, but it was like it felt like it was like a wind up to what motherhood was gonna be. That there was like I was really sick in the beginning of my pregnancy, and that was really hard. It made me feel really sad. I felt like I couldn't eat anything because nothing sounded good, and I was always sick. And then once we moved past that, it was like I was really busy with a lot of the stuff I was doing with being an entrepreneur. And so I didn't feel like I could rest as much because I wanted to accomplish so much before the baby came. And so I was always tired. It was hard, but it was transformative in the way that it prepared me to be a mom. Because I guess I thought like I'll just be pregnant and I can do whatever. Like I can just keep doing what I want to do and nothing can stop
Right,
me. But like I had to learn um being a mom is like the ocean. If you go swimming in the ocean and you swim against the waves, it's harder and it's aggravating and it's exhausting. But if you let the waves carry you and you follow through with them, it's less hard. It pushes and pulls you, and I felt like that's how pregnancy was for me, is that I had to learn to go with the flow of, okay, I'm a mom, so, I need to draw back on this thing, or I need to communicate when I need more help, that I'm not superwoman and I can't do everything like I could before I was pregnant, even though I'm still a very capable person. And then I feel like it really prepared me for being an actual mom once my baby came earthside. She it just prepared me, because being a mom does not mean you get to just set the rules and control everything. You have to follow the ebb and flow of your child. Like, you know, tonight my baby's going to sleep the whole night through. Tomorrow my baby's not going to sleep. And we're going to wake up 500 times and she's going to need me to rock her and love her and see her where she's at, and I can't resist it. I can't be like, well, you should be sleeping. Um, and so I felt like pregnancy was really good about teaching me to surrender to motherhood and not resist what it's going to make me become, and not resist what it's needing me to do.
I love that. Just pregnancy help you to surrender to motherhood. Like I've never heard that before. I always say accept your season, like accept the season you're in. But just surrender to motherhood, and like you said, it would make life so much easier. I had no idea you guys struggle with infertility and the entire process, because for me, I I mean, we couldn't get pregnant at the beginning and for a couple months, and it was hard mentally. It was so hard on me, and I think that is when I realized my mental health was decreasing, and I feel like that is where everything starts. And so I want you to take me back to that. um how was that for you and your husband and just your family in general?
It was really, yeah, it's something I don't talk about a lot very often, but it's a really big part of our journey of becoming parents. First off, it felt really like debilitating almost that it was like the one thing I want, like I want to get pregnant, I want to have a family, and everyone else around me is getting pregnant, and that really hurt. But I had to learn that someone else's gain is not my loss. And that was a really good lesson it taught me. I think it really helped my husband and I to cling to one another during it because it made us come to grasps with what if we never can get pregnant? What if we never have children? Like, not that that was like where we were at. Our doctor was like, there are plenty of options. We can keep trying. But I think it definitely, it had me focus more on my relationship with my husband a little bit more and communication about mental health because you're right, like I struggled with my mental health, and of course all of the different medications I was taking to try and help me ovulate or whatever, everything I was doing was of course messing with my hormones, which of course makes mental health even harder. um but I think it really helped me to be really aware of where I am and to communicate to my husband where I was, because I wasn't very good at that sometimes about admitting that, like, I feel really anxious about this, or I feel overwhelmed, or I feel kind of depressed that, our friends announce that they're pregnant and we're not. And I've been trying, and we're trying so hard to do all the things to get us in that point. But I think it strengthened our marriage and it strengthened me. I feel like it made me feel more resilient. That everything is in a certain timing because there were important lessons I really needed to learn before we had a baby to make me the kind of mom I am today. So that that's mostly the experience.
No, and I am happy you share this. And for persons who, because there's a lot of people struggling in silence, people who probably close up, who we know, and we don't realize that this is something that they are struggling with, and they're battling with this every single day. And what advice would you give to them to push through?
That getting pregnant or getting not getting pregnant, either way, does not change your value as a person or as a woman. That you are not defined by this. You can be a mom in so many different ways. You can be a mother to your nieces and nephews. You can be a mother figure to friends who are struggling. You can be a mother figure to your coworkers. Um, you can still choose to be nurturing and loving and find fulfillment in your life, but that you are not defined or tarnished by whether or not you can have children.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot because I really needed somebody to say that to me when I was struggling, and I really felt like I was going through it alone. And a lot of the times, sometimes we so focus on us, we don't realize our husband is going through it as well too. And so I really appreciate what you said, and especially how that period bring you guys together, and it literally prepared you for your beautiful baby. Like looking back now, you can look back and be like, oh my goodness, yes, this is something that we needed to go through.
Which is hard to admit because in the midst of it, I was like, why is this happening to me? But vision is 2020. I can see everything clearly now that I'm out of it. But so I'm not expecting anyone to be like, I'm struggling with infertility, but that's okay. But it's okay. It's going to teach you something, or it's going to strengthen your marriage, or it's going to prepare you to be the person you need to or want to be.
I think, um, going back to what you said earlier on, is that we decide, um, if this situation can either cripple us or it can propel us to do something even greater. I think just understanding that you decide, like you choose. And so, and like I said, it's hard in the moment, of course, but just knowing that you control it in a sense where how you feel and what become of it despite the outcome, whether you get pregnant or you didn't get pregnant or whatever the case might be, you can choose.
Yeah. Yeah. Choice is so important. it affects literally how every outcome comes in your life, at least in my opinion. Because you don't get to control anything. Honestly, everything around us is out of our control except for ourselves and our choices.
Yep, exactly. And thank you for sharing that. Like it, I like I said, I had no idea, and I I am grateful that you shared that because I know it will help someone listening out there who facing the same struggles. And you said like with going through all of these things, like you had in the beginning, you were juggling trying to get pregnant and managing your business after becoming pregnant. Like how did you balance all of this?
Schedule. Like it's important it's important to be organized. I really struggled with that in the beginning of my pregnancy. But then I realized that like you have to have balance. Because my business started to really rev up right after I found out I was pregnant. Our storefront was opening. It was like all of this happened right after I found out I was pregnant. And that was really eye-opening to the fact that I needed to find balance in between my business and my personal life. There was actually a point in my pregnancy where I got really sick for a couple of days and I was in a ton of pain. I think I was like 6 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant. And my midwife said, like, Rosie, you need to slow down. If you don't, you're going to put yourself on bed rest because you're doing too much. So I realized that like there's an importance of schedule and there's an importance of scheduling rest for myself. So I think that's mostly it. And my husband is very organized and he he really pushed me to be more organized about like when am I in the store, when am I out of the store, how's this gonna look, how's that gonna look, just like he forced me to look at the big picture, which is something I don't really do well with my schedule. Like I can see like ideas in the future, but I'm not very good at being like, well, in 8 months from now, I need to be waking up at 5 a.m. to do this thing or whatever. Um, but he's really good at kind of encouraging me to do that, which is, of course, the point of having a husband is to have them help you grow and you help them grow. And I feel like he really helped me to grow into learning to balance like scheduling time to rest, scheduling time to work, and then also being okay with what my schedule is and what I can get done and not like feeling guilt. Because as an entrepreneur, there's an endless to-do list. There is. It's endless. But you have to be okay with what you got done at the end of the day as long as you know you did your best.
Endless, yeah. I didn't realize how important schedule was until I actually started creating one. Because I think we look past it and we be like, okay, we could plan out the day in our head in a sense. We can do this, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But actually sitting down and putting the schedule together is two different
Mm-hmm.
things. Yeah. And if you're listening and you're like me, who was like, oh yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
have a schedule, I do this at this time, and you just kind of go off your head. No, 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 that's not what we're talking about. Like,
But that's literally what I did too, Queen. I'd be like, I know at this time I
yeah.
eat, this time I do this. And that really prepared me for being
Mm-hmm.
a mom because if you're an entrepreneur and a mom, you really have to
You
have a
have
schedule.
to.
Like, there's no way around it. Either you do not get your work done or you do based on your schedule.
Exactly. And like, take me back to the days, especially now, right? Or even back then when you didn't plan properly and you didn't get your work done, and
Um,
then your, of course, your kid take over the entire day. Like, how did that impacted your
mhm.
life, your mental health, everything?
It was really hard. There was, once again, I didn't surrender to motherhood in some cases. Like, there was a day I was planning to go in the store, and make like some TikToks and reels and posts, care for some of my plants, work on some things, pay some bills. And my daughter was sick. Like, we got to the store and she had kind of been a little bit puny, but we got there, of course, in the like craziness of getting all of us out the door. And I realized she had a fever and she was coughing and her nose was running. And it like snowballed really quickly. It was like she was fine that morning, and then like within an hour of us getting there, she was just like super clingy, sad. So I knew we had to go home. Like there's no way I can run this
Yeah.
store and give her the proper attention she needed. And then she needed it the whole day. She only wanted to sleep on me. I think she was like 3 months old when this happened. She wanted to sleep on me all day. She was really sensitive, and it completely took over my day. Like, I didn't get anything done, and I felt like a failure. And I fell behind in my work. And that made me feel stressed because I was tired from caring for a baby all day. By the time my husband came home, I didn't want to go do my work, and I didn't. And I fell behind in some of my work, and then it resulted in me having to work overtime and some late nights. Um, but I will say this, there are plenty of times where I got my work done, and there were plenty of times I didn't get my work done. Um, and that was really hard because sometimes it would affect the way like the business was doing that week. It would affect our social media. It would affect the income. It would affect a lot of things. Um, but I had to keep reminding myself that my child was my number one priority, and that the
Mm-hmm.
consequences of what happened from me failing to get my work done is just my consequences alone. Um,
Right.
and sometimes my husband was really nice and would be like, cut yourself a break. Like, you couldn't control what happened. Um, but I think it definitely taught me that if you want to see results, there's a will, there's a way, and sometimes it's not going to be easy, and sometimes it's going to require you working after your baby goes to sleep, and then you work for 3 hours, and when you want to go to bed your baby wakes up and you have to go do a feeding, and you're going to be up for another hour. And so there are going to be days where you get 3 hours of sleep and you still are being called on to work hard, and that's okay. And it's also okay to say, I'm running on 3 hours of sleep, I'm gonna rest. It's just like such a fine line between working hard and burning yourself out.
Right.
And there's like consequences to both sides. There are plenty of times where I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, we had issues at the business because I didn't just trudge through. And then there were times where I trudged through and it worked out okay. And then there were times where I trudged through and I burned myself out. And it was hard on my family and it was hard on me as a mom. Um, so it's just like, it's hard. No one said it was going to be easy, and every
Exactly.
situation is different. And you have to have the grace to go through the situation and learn what you need to learn. Whether it's learning to be relaxed, whether it's learning to take a breath, or sometimes it's learning that, I slacked off and I have to bear the consequences of me not getting this one thing done.
Yeah. Not so true because it's a lot, Rosie. It's whew, on the days, and it really being an entrepreneur and being a mom and a wife and having to juggle and balance all these different things. Like you said, it get overwhelming sometimes, and when one aspect not going good, like it affects every
Uh
other aspect
huh.
of your life. And so now you had to sometimes step back because sometimes when I don't get this stuff done, I tend to be more irritated with my baby
Me
boy, with
too.
my husband, and I know it's not their fault. It's just that I didn't get it done, and I'm so frustrated, and it's just easy for me to tick, you know.
Mm
And so I had to realize, like I say, create that balance and create that schedule. And even though you create the schedule, sometimes it doesn't always work out because that is
hmm.
motherhood.
It really is. It's like make a schedule and throw it out the window because your baby's not going to
I
follow it
know,
at
right?
all.
Yeah. And so for me, one thing that has been working for me was like is waking up before my household to get
Hmm.
stuff done, like at least 2 hours before, just to pour back into myself
Hmm.
because I am with baby boy 24/7, and then when I'm
Yes.
not with baby boy, I'm wanted by someone else.
Uh-huh. Your husband.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's yeah, exactly. So it's like, oh, when do I have time for me, like
Hmm.
for me myself? And I realize that is where scheduling come in, guys. Like it is so important. Whatever you're doing, like whether you're trying to learn a new you, discover a new self,
Hmm.
head into entrepreneurship, whatever it is you decide to do, just know it's not going to be easy, and you're going to take sacrifice. as Rosie said, surrendering to motherhood, like accepted the season you're in. Also know that this wouldn't always be a situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had to remind myself, baby boy wouldn't always be 6 months. He wouldn't always be a year. He wouldn't always be 2 years. He's gonna, grow up, and of course different problems, but it wouldn't always be like this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when I actually made that schedule and stick to it, I realized my mental health was so much better.
I completely agree. I for a while was doing. I've fallen out of practice with the new year because we got sick like 12 times already this year. It feels like.
I know, right?
So there's been a lot of sleeping. But I found that there was a lot more patience in my heart for my family and for my situations and for everything when I woke up early and I took time to, meditate, journal, work out, be ready, just like physically getting ready before my child comes in
Exactly.
and acts
Exactly.
crazy.
Yeah.
It
Mm-hmm.
makes all the difference on my day. No matter what happens with the day, I feel more centered in being like,
Ex-
it's okay.
mm-hmm. Yeah, taking a step back and now you could breathe. That is something that I have done, and it has changed everything. And I know it's hard. Like some days the alarm go off and you want to go back to sleep,
Yeah.
but the reality of it, sometimes I go back to sleep and I get up and I'm still tired. So
Mm-hmm.
what was the point? Like what was the point of me
Literally,
taking that extra hour and a half?
literally,
Like,
or I feel like guilty. I'll be like,
yeah,
I could have gotten all this done. I could have taken
I
care of
know, right?
myself, but because I chose to sleep and wake up still tired,
Mm-hmm.
my day now feels like it started more roughly than normal. Nope,
Yes.
I completely agree. I feel like it's a lesson I keep learning. Literally today, I turned off my alarm when it went off and I slept in, and I regretted it. Like, I got up still before my daughter did, but I still was like, oh, I missed out on this opportunity. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
still messing up at that. But it's so important to have mother time that isn't you being a mom or a wife. It's not even mother time, it's just like woman time, you time.
Yeah.
And
Like Rosie time.
yeah,
Like honestly,
and it's
it's Rosie time.
yeah, literally, and it's not only important and it's not selfish. It's refilling your cup because if your cup is empty, you can't keep pouring into everyone else's.
I know, and I think we say it, but sometimes we don't do it. We need to do the things that would pour back into our cup, and it might look differently for everyone. And I cannot stress enough. A lot of the times we push self care. We talk
Mm-hmm.
about self care, and I think a lot of people misinterpret what it actually means, because self care is not just going to get your hair done,
Mm-hmm.
which is good. That's nice.
It
Woo,
is nice.
woo, it's nice, right? But there's so much more to self care. I call it self love.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's deeper than getting my hair, like the physical aspect.
Mm-hmm.
For me, so if you're getting your hair done or if you're getting your nails done, like, are you just scrolling on TikTok? Like you're
Yeah,
going to do your feet, or you just scrolling on TikTok?
literally.
Social media, or did you carry a book
Mm-hmm.
that would help you to be a better person?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that is what I consider self care. Like you nourishing yourself to become
Mm-hmm.
whoever the Lord wanted to become.
Yeah, or
You
even
know?
taking the time to really sit with yourself. This is something I'm very bad at, but I've been trying to do better of setting aside time to really sit and think about who I am and who I want to
Mm-hmm.
become and the things I want to change about myself or the things I need to change about myself. Because I do feel like we're in such like a fast-paced mode as moms. We're so focused on our kids, and when they go to bed, we're focused on our husbands and cleaning up the house so our house isn't a mess the next morning.
Right?
And then we are really focused on like all these different things, and we get a spare moment, let's watch some TV, or we have a spare moment, let's scroll on TikTok.
Yeah.
But none of those things are allowing us to stop and sit in our emotions of, you know what, maybe I didn't process this thing today as well as I should have with my daughter. I should have had more patience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, instead of feeling a ton of mom guilt about it and feeling like a debilitating guilt, I'm gonna think about what are the different things I can do. So like and I don't do this much, but I'm trying to dedicate when I get ready every day to time to just like think of the things I need to do better as a mom or the things I need to do better in my marriage, or just for me as a person. My daughter's been having tantrum issues. Like, we were having an issue where she was throwing tantrums and she was really upset, and I was trying to reason with her. I was trying to talk to her. I was trying to, I taught her to breathe a long time ago. I pushed that from very young. So she knows when I say
Yeah.
breathe, she'll take a deep breath, but then she'll still like throw her tantrum. So the breath kind of helps, but sometimes it doesn't. And
Yeah.
I was getting ready, and a thought came to my mind that I should stop trying to stop the tantrums, and instead I should sit in the emotion with her. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of being like, hey, like, don't punch the pillow, or hey, don't throw yourself on the ground, it's like, okay, if that's what you need to do to process that emotion, great. I will sit with you. You can't hurt anyone, no throwing toys at anyone, no hurting anyone. But if you need me to sit here with you and be with you while you feel this, okay. And it made all the difference with her tantrums. And I even started offering, when she would like get really upset and walking around and crying, I would say, "Do you really need a hug?" And she would run up and hug me, and 90% of the tantrum would just go away.
Yeah.
And
Is yeah. Sorry.
no, you're all good. So I was just gonna say that thought would have never occurred to me if I hadn't been, not sitting, standing in my bathroom, getting ready, taking the time to really think. And not that all of your self love time should be dedicated to thinking about how to help other people, but just taking the time to think. I don't do it all the time, but every time I do it, it always has a great impact on me and my family.
Yes. And let me just say, you decide what you need to do to fill your cup.
Mm-hmm.
It might look different for Rosie, it will look different for me, and it will definitely look different for you. This morning, baby boy got dropped off to daycare, which is thank you Jesus,
Nice.
because he doesn't go every day, but on the days that he have to go 2 days,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, I know I have this interview. I have a lot of things to do, and I need to focus on me, because I'm like, this is the time I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to pour
Mm-hmm.
back into myself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do some self care and self love. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? And one thing, as I dropped baby boy off, the thought came to mind. You need to reach out to other moms and just reach out to other moms.
Mm-hmm.
There were two options where I go over to them and help them with anything that they need help with.
Mm-hmm.
Or I was like, okay, I have a big belly. That might be the best option, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, another thought came to mind. You can invite them over and make breakfast for them. Rosie, this morning after dropping baby boy off, I head to the store. I bought whatever I need to buy, and I did send out a message. And two moms, they came over, and I cooked for them. I made breakfast for them, and it
Mm-hmm.
fulfilled me. Like, it gave,
Mm-hmm.
like, that pour back into my cup. Like, serving others, that's one way that I pour back into my cup. It
Mm-hmm.
have other ways as well. And one mom say, this morning I was so busy I didn't make breakfast.
That's so sweet, Queen. And it's true. There are hundreds of times where I have not had breakfast, because the day has gotten too crazy. I'm sure they appreciate it, and I'm sure it just feels nice to connect with other people too. That fills your cup
Yeah,
too. It's just to
yeah.
be there for other people.
Exactly. So you decide whatever it is on different days. It might be different things. It might
Mm-hmm.
need different things on different days, and that's okay. Today was just one of those days where I just wanted to give back. And of course, I did. But also, just being here talking to you, speaking our truth, sharing this
Mm-hmm.
so that it can help like it can help other moms. This is pouring back into my cup,
Me
like
too.
literally.
I've been looking. I know you said that you were nervous, and I was nervous too, but I've been looking forward to this for the past couple of days because last time you and I talked on the phone, that was like the highlight of my day. Not that I don't love my family, they're great. I love them so much, but
Yeah.
I love talking to you, Queen. I've always loved talking to you. I wish you lived closer. Um,
I know.
but it's so true. Sometimes like filling your cup is being alone and thinking, and sometimes it's not like this. This is making me feel so happy discussing and talking and sharing like we did last time we were on the phone.
Yeah. And so, yeah, speaking the truth is definitely up there. I am so grateful for this conversation. Like, what's one piece of advice you wish you had received when you become a first time mom?
That's a really good question. There's hundreds of ideas that are popping in, but like, what's the main overarching theme? I wish I knew. Think the overarching thing that I wish I heard is do what you need to do to be the best mom and wife you can be.
Mm-hmm.
Put your like set yourself up for success. I felt like
Right.
right after I gave birth, everyone was like, sleep when the baby's sleeping. And I get why they say that because you're exhausted. But at the same time, like that was really hard for me because I'm a busybody. I like to be getting things
Mm-hmm.
done, and I struggled with that. And then just also balancing being an entrepreneur and a mom was trial by fire a little bit. And I sometimes feel like I didn't set myself up for success to be the best mom or wife or entrepreneur I could be because I didn't always know all the things I know now. Um, but do the things you need to do to set yourself up for success. And if you don't succeed, try again. I know that's so silly, but it's like I don't know if you've experienced this. I feel like debilitating guilt after having a kid about like, did I do enough for my family? Did I do enough for my daughter? Did I make it a meaningful and good day for her? Was I intentional with our interactions and our playing? Um, did I put work above her, or did I let my work fall and it made me stressed? And I, like you said, it makes me more snappy. Um, and so just make sure make your cup is full, but do what you need to do to make yourself be the best mom you can be.
Yeah, and listen, I don't judge other moms for doing something different than you
Yes,
do, okay?
literally, literally.
like we are all different. We have different family dynamics. We pursuing different things in life. We have different background, cultural, like just our culture might be different. Like how
Hmm.
me and Rosie grew up, very different culture.
Yes, yes, and I only know that because my husband grew up in the same country as you.
Right? Exactly. And so sometimes I that was one thing that I did because I judged myself because I am from the Caribbean, and so sometimes the Caribbean would come out.
Hmm.
And it's not all bad, but then I'm looking at these moms had that was brought up totally different, and I'm like, oh, what am I doing wrong, but then I
Hmm.
realized, girl, you're not doing anything wrong.
Literally, literally. I I felt so much mom guilt about being a mom who works, like being an entrepreneur. I felt a lot
Mm-hmm.
of guilt about it because I saw a lot of other moms around me who were completely stay-at-home moms or they had like their own side hustles at home or whatever it was. But I would feel judged at times when we'd go to like play dates and the moms would be like, "Oh, like, well, I," and this is not any shade on them. Like no shade on anyone, but it made me feel judged when they would like make comments about me working or being like, well, I put my kid first. And it's like, I put my kid first too, but I also have other things. Like, and we're different people. And so I completely agree. Like, don't judge any other mom. They're doing the best they can. And also, this is something I've learned. You are the only person who can be the best mom for your child. They are 50%
Mm-hmm.
you. And I see that in my daughter every day with different things she does. And then she's 50% my husband. And I see that with like things that she does just like him.
Yeah,
And then she's also her own personality that's completely different.
exactly.
And that's perfect and that's great. But also, I'm the person who loves her. Me and my husband love her so much more. No offense, Queen. I love your son, but he's not my son. And
Right?
and so because of that, we are the only people equipped really truly to be the best parent for our child. Of course, there are outliers in that statement.
Of course. Yes. Yes.
Like, but I'm sure they're not listening to this podcast. Um, but what I'm saying with that is so don't judge. Someone else is mothering their child in exactly the way they should be and they need to be or that they think is best.
Exactly. And so much thing went through my mind when you said that, because that is one thing I had to realize, because I judged before becoming a mom. Like I
Me
was outside
too.
and I judged, and after becoming a mom I was like, oh my goodness, I take back everything I said. And I never judge mom
Mm-mm.
whether they decide they are working, because
Mhm.
there are some moms that just have to work and that's just it. Like they
Mhm.
don't have a choice, they have to work. And then they have moms who can be home and the husband can take care of everything, and because of
Mhm.
the dynamics, it works just fine. Like
Mhm.
all you could do is just mom, but
Mhm.
that's not who I am. I have things I need to get done. So yes, being a mom is like my top priority, but also who is queen. Like I had an identity before becoming a mom, and
Mhm.
that's what people don't understand. And I just want to know, like, you're an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
and sometimes you have to make tough decisions,
Mhm.
and sometimes you feel like you are neglecting your child
Mhm.
when you're not,
Yeah.
because of that just society and that mom guilt and everything. But how do you balance that, for especially for what advice you have for moms who on the same journey,
Mhm.
who is feeling the same way? And it could be a working mom who going out and doing a 9 to 5,
Mhm.
you know and coming back home, and
I guess the thing I would say is, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a working mom, the way I found like solace in the fact that like I'm doing the best I can for my child, every single day is that I made sure my time with my child was intentional,
mm-hmm.
so that it's not just like go play with your toys. I just got home from working 4 hours and you were with me, and so that was kind of a nightmare. And mommy might have lost her temper, but
Yeah,
that I would schedule times in the day that were like, mommy and Coco, we are gonna play. And mommy is gonna be
yeah,
no phone, no distractions, not cooking dinner, not cleaning. I am 100% in. And so, like, that's one way to kind of balance, I don't know, maybe feeling that mom guilt. That's how I balanced
yeah.
it, by knowing that even though I didn't play with Coco for 15 hours that day, she and I
Mm-hmm.
had 4 or 5 really good hours broken up throughout the day where she
Mm-hmm.
had my undivided attention, where I taught her things, where we played, where she got to control what we did. Um,
Right.
and maybe you only can give your kid 3 hours. Maybe you only can give them two. As long as you're being intentional with your time with your child, not shade to any stay-at-home moms, because I'm also a stay-at-home mom since I sold my business. But sometimes it can be easy as a stay-at-home mom not to make it like intentional time with your child, where it's like you're
Yeah.
driving me nuts. We've been together for 86 hours straight together.
Yeah.
But that it's like, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a working mom, as long as you're just giving some like intentional attention to your child, you're a great mom. And a schedule, once again, super important. And I will say this: my postpartum recovery was hard. There was things I struggled with my mental health. There were things I had to learn as a mom. Being an entrepreneur and a mom, trial by fire. Like I said before, it was hard.
Yeah.
But the greatest thing I learned is I enjoyed having a piece of myself outside of being a mom and being a wife. And I really think that it played a really big part in me not struggling as much mentally as I think I could have with like postpartum depression and anxiety. That I had something I was working towards outside of myself, even on the days when I didn't want to get out of bed.
Right.
Even though, like, I will always get out of bed for my daughter, she will always be my first choice and the reason I get out of bed the days I don't want to. um, it helped me not to feel so lost in motherhood or so lost in life and the recovery. Um, and so, whether it's like you're a stay at home mom and you don't have a business, then have a hobby, have something outside of your child. I really think that helps all moms.
Rosie, that is the one thing that pushed me out of my post. Helped me. It
Mm-hmm.
propelled me out
Mm-hmm.
of my postpartum depression and anxiety and all these
Mm-hmm.
panic attacks that I was having. It was so crazy. But knowing that, I know that who is queen? Not queen as a mom, not queen as a wife, like queen, queen. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wanted something more. And to some people, motherhood is all they need, and that's great for you. But for others, I need something
Mm-hmm.
else.
And even if motherhood is all there is for you, I just want to say this, if someone's listening and that's how they feel, it's also okay to have a hobby.
Yeah,
You don't have to be an
yeah.
entrepreneur, but
You don't.
maybe you want to learn a new hobby like to sew and you want to sew all your own clothes, or you want to learn how to make sourdough or whatever it is. But like
Oh, nice sourdough.
yeah,
Yeah.
that but it's nice to have something outside of motherhood, whether it's work or not. But I think it's like
Mm-hmm.
so important with the balance of being a mom, and I hope I answered your question about like
No,
intentional
you did.
okay.
You did because it makes so much sense. Like, have something outside
Mhm.
other than being a mom. Like
Mhm.
Rosie said, whether it be a hobby or on your journey of rediscovering who you are. And also, because when you become a mom, you stop doing a lot of things that
Mhm.
brought joy to you in the
Mhm.
first place, right? And you just become, you're just so consumed with
Mhm.
everything into motherhood and just being a wife that you forget about the stuff that once made you happy.
Mhm.
So think back, as Rosie said, she journal. So think back about those things like, okay, before becoming a mom, what are some things that I did that made me happy?
Or you,
Maybe it was going on a walk.
yeah.
You like to go on a walk and take that time off. That can be your self care, self love time
Mhm.
where you just say, all right, I need this time for myself. If you have to carry your baby, go ahead. But if
Mhm.
you don't have to, take that time for yourself. Whether it be 30 minutes, I need this walk.
Mhm.
You go, enjoy nature, just talk. I'm going to say talk to yourself, but you know what I mean.
Yes. Um, and another option
Yeah.
too is like you could integrate it into motherhood. Like I
Oh, yes.
used to love embroidering. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good at it. I just enjoy doing it. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
claim I'm like really good at it. And recently I had an idea. My daughter, she loves necklaces, but like,
Oh,
you
nice.
know, necklaces are dangerous for little toddlers. She
Mm-hmm.
loves her accessories. So I got a whole bunch of scrap fabric and I'm making like I'm braiding necklaces out of it and I'm embroidering them. So she has these cute little
Mm-hmm.
necklaces that are safer for her and they're kind of big and chunky. But that's how I integrated something into motherhood that I used to love. Um,
Yeah.
so you can do that too. Like there are countless options. Nothing is set in stone. And like, this is something my husband's always taught me, and because he's great, is that you have countless options. And just because you haven't seen it done before doesn't mean you can't do it, or
You're
doesn't
right.
mean that it's not possible. Um, and I will say this too. I think some of the best parts of my day, besides talking to you, Queen, is playing with my kid intentionally. Like, I think that's helped me a lot as a mom, and with the mental toll it can sometimes take, is instead of like begrudgingly like taking care of this child that's tantruming and doesn't want to eat anything you made them, and decided to take all of the Tupperware out of the cabinet or whatever, it also helps to realign you as a mom and remind you why you're doing all of this. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I feel like that can get hard to see. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like I lose sight of
No,
that
it's
sometimes.
not just you.
I feel like I lose sight of that sometimes with the trudging through the hard stuff with a kid. So I think those are like really good options to do with motherhood. You know, it's playing or, you know, embroidering or whatever, having a hobby, working.
Yeah.
But there's countless options.
There is, and you decide, and that's a good thing. You decide, and on this journey you can try something. You don't like it, you can try something else because you're
Yeah.
discovering, you're trying to figure it out, and that's okay. You know, like, it's okay.
Hmm.
I have tried so many different things on this journey and realized, you know what's crazy, each of the things that I've tried, I have taken some skill or some knowledge and move on. Like, it has helped me in
Hmm.
some way or the other, even though I'm not doing it now, like actively doing it. It has helped me. Like, I've gained some skill from it, and now I can move on.
Hmm.
And it made me into a better me. And so,
Yeah.
would I be 5 minutes or 10 minutes? There's things that you can do that would create that bonding moment between you and your child even more, even though it's 5 to 10 minutes and it's not an hour.
Hmm.
So if you can
Hmm.
do that 10 minutes throughout the day, that's fine. Like, whatever
Hmm.
you can give, that's all that matters. Like, as Rosie say, you know you are doing your best despite everything else that's going wrong here. Despite society, despite what everybody's saying, you know what you can give, and what you can give is enough.
Yeah.
It is enough.
And one thing I've learned is Kids do not have an expectation. They didn't come earthside with an expectation of my mom is going to spend 12 hours a day looking me in the eyes, playing games with me, and having complete patience.
I know, right?
No child came here thinking that, which I'm so thankful because I don't have that much patience sometimes. It depends on the day.
Yeah.
But it's so true. There were days when I was working in my store where there were days where I was like, maybe we've had like 2 good hours of maybe me like spread out through the whole day. If
Mm-hmm.
we add all the times I've played with her, it's been 2 hours, and I've really intentionally played with her and really been with her. Whatever you can give is enough, and you have to be comfortable and sit in that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't constantly think, well. No, there's no and ifs or buts. It happened how it happened, and your child still loves you. And they're
Exactly.
just thankful that they have a mom who loves them.
Yeah. We are our biggest critics, and we are the ones that
Hmm.
keeping ourselves from progressing some most of the times, because our thoughts is the thing that is crippling us.
No,
Our
that's
thoughts.
so
Yes.
true.
What you think is what you become. So if you keep thinking, oh, I'm a bad mom, I'm a bad mom, child. Or whatever it is, whether it be in your business or just the negative thoughts throughout the day, that is what you're breathing into your life. And so just change the way just change the way you think. So instead of saying I'm a bad mom, this wasn't the best choice. But I will do better next time. Like it's so different to
Hmm.
just change up the way we think and the words that come out of our mouth, because it really, our tongue have a lot of power and our mind have a lot
Hmm.
of power, and we need to realize that.
That is so true. We have a lot of power of how
Mm-hmm.
things turn out. And as long as you're just taking mistakes as opportunities to change and grow, that's
Yeah.
all that's needed. And this is this is something I've had to learn as a mom and as an entrepreneur. No one is going to be able to decide whether or not you've been successful in your business, in your career, in your family, with your child. No one gets to decide that for you. You are the only deciding factor. So my husband, whether or not he thinks I'm a good mom, which he does, because he's told me, it should not matter to me whether or not I think my child thinks I'm a good mom or not. That, like, I mean, when we're older, we'll have discussions about how she feels about me when she's a teenager.
Right.
But right now, she's one. She can't say much. But that I have to know who I am and be comfortable where I am and what I think of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think you're a bad business owner, what's going to change your perspective? And this is actually something my husband taught. Once my husband's great. I love this guy. He really taught me that because I struggled with feeling like a bad mom for a long time, and he was like, me telling you that you're a good mom isn't going to change that. Like, you have to know it for yourself, and you can't care so much about what other people might think, because some days Coco and I would roll up to the store in her, like, I was in sweats and she was in a pair of jammies, and it was what it was, but we got there. Um, and there are days like that. But only I can decide if I think I'm a good mom or a bad mom. Only I can think if I'm successful in a business or not. Or if I'm successful in my career, am I where I want to be? And if I'm not, what am I willing to do to get to where I want to be? But that's okay, because also this whole life is about progression. I
Yes.
didn't I didn't just have a baby and suddenly become a perfect mom. We're going to go through different cycles and things with Coco where there are going to be times where I'll say, "Oh, I could have done that better.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, if this happens again, I'll try a little harder to do it a
Right.
little better." Or this business venture didn't branch out exactly the way I wanted it to. But what did I learn from it? Where is it going to take me? Am I going to let this keep me down, or am I willing to take that and try again?
Mm-hmm.
And so no one else is going to be able to dictate it. No matter how much your husband tells you you're a great mom, or your kids, or your friends tell you that you're great at business, you have to decide for yourself what you think of yourself, and then you have to hold true to that.
And I totally agree. Listen, today has been so great. I am so grateful for this conversation, and it was something that was needed. And for those of you who listen, remember, it is all up to you. You have the power. You hold the keys to decide your future. Along with Heavenly Father, allow Him to guide you and direct you to become a better person. Because I don't know about you, I couldn't do it alone. Like, I couldn't do it alone. So he is the one behind me, pushing me to do everything, and I'm allowing him to do it. I'm allowing him to mold me into the person I need to become in order to be a better wife, a better mom, a better entrepreneur, just a better human being in general. Someone who strives to empower others, someone who strives to speak positivity onto others, into others as well. And my take is, be the best version of yourself. And like as Rosie said, that's what she's working on. If she don't like something and it needs to be changed, okay, what needs to be changed? You decide what needs to be changed and you get to work. And that is how you're going to become whoever you need to become, is by knowing the steps that you need to take and actually taking those steps. Thank you all for listening, and remember to mind your space.